Right, welcome back to the Morning Show here on Rise News, and we're going straight to it this morning. Adeyeye?
Yes, we're changing the conversation at this time. Virtually in all Nigerian citadels of learning, universities, polytechnics, or colleges of education, the story is about the same, that so many female students have become victims of sexual harassment in the hands of those they call lecturers. Recently, in a 52-minute video by the BBC, Dr. Boniface Igwehe, a lecturer and a current sub-dean of the Faculty of Arts and University of Lagos, Akoka, and the head pastor of a Foursquare church was heard in one of the discreetly recorded videos telling an undercover reporter who disguised as a 17-year-old admission seeker to switch off the light so he could kiss her.
Appalling, I might add. Boniface asked the undercover journalist about her age and sexual life, things that are totally out of the purview of an academic mentor. It should be noted that in May 2016, the Senate considered a bill that would slam a 5-year jail term on lecturers who exploit students sexually.
Well, joining us now to dissect the current trending issue on sex for marks or grades in Nigerian tertiary institutions is Femi Adeyeye, an activist and social commentator, alleged to be under political victimization by the authorities of the University of Lagos, UNILAG.
Also joining us in this discussion is Oladotun, Hassan, a legal practitioner, President Yoruba Council of Youth Worldwide, Secretary General, Nigerian Ethnic Nationality Youth Leadership Forum, convener Southern Nigerian Assembly, and Chairman, Nigeria Bar Association Lekki Forum. But before we begin, let's take a listen to the conversation between the lecturer and the undercover reporter.
Welcome to the show. As we can see, that this has been a trending issue this entire week. A lot of Nigerians are appalled by what's going on. One thing we know, this is something that has been happening for years. Secondly, the pastor in the video and the lecturer has been suspended from his church, and now a panel has been set in UNILAG to probe him. How confident are you in this panel serving out justice?
A second lecturer has been also suspended to add to that.
Definitely. Yes. I think it's very important, first of all, to lay a premise that this issue should be taken seriously. And it's very important, like every other discussion in our national space. It's an issue of breach of public trust because the student and lecturer relationship is a relationship that is hinged on public trust. It's not, the fact that you're my lecturer does not mean you know more than me, because I would have given my trust to online tutorials and all of that. It's just to say that I've entrusted my learning process to you. And so it is very important. It is not something that should just be allowed to go down the drain like some other cases, even at the University of Lagos. Before the BBC report and all of that, someone like me, I wrote an article about this in 2016. And for that reason, I was suspended for 4 semesters. From UNILAG.
Who suspended you?
The Senate of the university.
Why?
For writing about several issues of sexual harassment, oppression of students.
So rather than investigate, they suspended you?
You also allegedly insulted the vice chancellor at that time. In fact, you said his first-class degree was a true definition of a fiasco.
All right. Who defines insults in this kind of case? I don't want to dwell on that.
Why did you write that about the Vice Chancellor?
Definitely, that's it's really my opinion. You understand? It's my opinion about what was going on in the university campus.
So was your opinion even about his first-class degree? Why would you?
Definitely, no.
Was it about the sexual harassment
or his first-class degree?
You picked that part. You picked that part. There is a whole article. Maybe you would have to take
No, but I just want to know, I mean, because if you're talking about sexual harassment, why insulting the Vice-Chancellor? Why saying his first-class degree?
That's why I said who defines insult. While I started, I said who defines insult in this case. And in a particular case when you call that insult, then let's sue me, take me to court.
So let's not digress.
So that we don't digress.
You said you wrote about sexual harassment.
Yes. Several issues of protest.
But let's focus on the sexual harassment.
Definitely.
What were you trying to say? I mean, how rampant was this or is this in the University of Lagos?
Yes, at the University of Lagos, I want to make this very clear. That this issue is not peculiar to the University of Lagos.
Yes,
it happens. We all know that. But in my article, I made it clear that the reason it's more pronounced at the University of Lagos is because the University of Lagos is a brand on its own. Yeah. And these lecturers, because of my altercation with some of them, I've realized that they find this brand so beautiful enough. And that's why a lecturer can tell an admission seeker that, you know, it's not easy getting into this place. So you just have to, something was given. So you understand? So coming to, and that was the nexus in my article. That's why the former president renamed University of Lagos to Maolag then, was trying to rename that. Everyone stood up that time to fight against this thing because of that name. It gives them that, it makes it effortless to talk to students, to admission seekers, to...
I want to know the cases. What were the particular cases you investigated when you wrote the article? You said, can you mention some of those cases?
All right. What my article was really about is a protest that held April 6th, 7th, and 8th in 2016. It held for 3 days. And instead of for the management to come out and engage students on issues that were raised then, they did not. Instead, they called in police officers to come and take care of the whole situation, asked students to go, disbanded the union, and started hunting student activists on campus. So the sexual harassment part of it was added. I added it in my article, listing all of these issues, and then adding it. And I was called to a panel where I addressed all of this.
Let me bring into this conversation the reaction so far. Do you think is another knee-jerk approach? Because this is not new.
Well, I must admit that the issue is more of social, and it's becoming a more recurrent decimal that has no solution at sight. Because looking at the whole AU situation, that we're just leaving the AU months back, and now just coming into Unilag as, if not the BBC, why can't our local media establish this?
But to correct you, our local media have been writing. He's written an article in 2016.
I want to comment.
We at Arise News. I just wanted to say that.
The Nigerian mentalities, that's what I'm questioning here.
Good.
How receptive are we when it comes to moral issues? Do we have to look at the outside world pointing accusing fingers at us before we begin to take the right step? This issue is there. You cannot give what you don't have. As far as the society is concerned, the moral decadence is everywhere. It's not limited to the institution.
But the point you're trying to raise is this. Yeah. The point you're trying to raise is this so-called the BBC reporter is a Nigerian. You see, let's look at it. I think it behoves on all of us, to take responsibility. The question for me, I don't want to sound very funny in any sense, but the question for me is, why is it that it was when the BBC did it, we started making us about it? A young man here wrote an article in 2016. He lost 4 semesters.
I think that's what he's trying to say, that we had to wait for a foreign media to point that out, even though media has been doing that.
Irrespective of the fact that there was an aborted legislation of the sexual harassment prohibition bill to lynch a 5-year jail term, I know that was deliberate, because that kind of a bill wouldn't even come to the fore, because it is even, it would be one-sided bill, because when we talk about sexual harassment, it's not restricted to the higher institutions of learning. What about the same senators that are bringing up these bills? So it is a national menace. So it shouldn't be, there must be a revisit of that bill to make it a national I
just want to come to him. Did the police, you see, you mentioned some cases. I'm going to case-by-case approach now. You mentioned a couple of names in that article and some cases. Did the police investigate those cases, or did you call for investigation in those cases?
No, I did not mention names of sexual harassment. I was only pointing... The article has a lot of things in it. And so when I was called to the panel, the first question that was posed at me by the panel, it was headed by Professor P.K. Fogan from Faculty of Law, was that, I like what you do. This is beautiful, but we need someone like you to help us fish out people like that on this campus. And knowing fully well the kind of how vindictive such a statement was, I told them right there. I said, everything I have in this article and everything I have in this letter of allegation that you sent to me is what I'm going to address. Anything outside this, then no problem, we can engage. And we can assist with investigation. Right as I'm speaking to you, there is a professor at the University of Lagos, and the matter has gone low. Professor Segun Awonusi, just because he belongs to the class of the untouchables on campus. These guys who were suspended are just like kids when it comes to this particular code room.
Professor Segun Awonusi's
He's still there. He's still there. We all saw this Linda Ikeji blog reports of this man half naked. There was you can Google this. taken by students who went on an undercover student. That's why when he was talking about why must we wait for BBC and all of that, people are coming up with reports. Our local, for example, the issue is this: how well do we recognize our local reporters? How well do we take these stories and we use them? For example, there is a local Agbajalingo in local Calabar who came up with local $500 million reports about the local Cross River governor. And today is languishing in local prison. And local Nigerians are not looking at the local story to speak about all of these things. And
we've spoken about Agba a lot.
The problem then is that all of these social issues, we give them a kind of lifespan in Nigeria, you know? This BBC thing just has 3 days to go down.
We'll go to a quick break and we'll come back and we'll talk some more.
Welcome back to Rises. We're still joined by Mr. Oladotun Hassan, a legal practitioner and the president of the Yoruba Council of Youths, worldwide secretary general, and Femi Adeyeye as well. So let's look at the legal aspect of this. Now, they said a panel has been set up and is headed by the Faculty of Law. I'm seeing here by Mr. Ayodele, professor from the Faculty of Law, Mr. Ayodele Atensua. Now, like you've said, you don't have any confidence in this panel. We know that this is a criminal offense. So why hasn't it been, why are we still having a panel on the university campus handling this situation as opposed to?
It's quite unfortunate that when you talk about the issue of fair hearing and all that, for now, the punitive measure have been passed before even going into the panel. There is suspension. There is other corresponding punitive measures that have been taken. But it's not enough for a panel. It is just like beating a dead horse. We are aware. How saintly are those that are even spearheading the panel? How much of these people have accommodated this so much ill? Because you cannot tell me as a university professor in that same university for many years, and you are not aware of such ills. If you are not coming to the fore, it's just like if he has not seen, let him be the first to cast a stone. So the issue at hand is not about the panel. It's about how much is our legislative laws being obeyed. We have laws that look at all this harassment, torture, liability, when you come about the rape and attempted rape and all that. Because one thing that we're looking at here is consent. That is where the law always look at. But we have gone beyond that now because we have sex for grade and grade for sex. Students come for grade for sex, lecturers go for sex for grade. So where the explanation comes in now is we need to draw the nexus of the social...
Are there students that come to lecturers and say, I'll give you sex, you give me grades?
Yeah, well, if this is a social issue. It's an issue of mental real.
I'm just asking a simple question. Are there students that come to lecturers and say, I'll give you sex, you give me grade?
Yes, because there are students. I've led student struggle while I was in maybe Lagos University as a Nance Lagos as the chairman. So we fought against all these kind of issues while we are still in university. So it's not an issue that is just coming to the fore. So, but because there is no stringent measures. If there are stringent measures from the NUC now on, if you commit this act from maybe as part of their riot act, when you are coming into the school, it's very rare to you as a student. If you violate by having any amorous relationship with the lecturer, just amorous relationship, then this is the square root. You have been, the harassment. No, we need to treat sexual harassment case just like the way we treat cultism on campus.
Right.
If it is not treated with that kind of hard attention, we'll still come back to a more news tomorrow, which is, we leave the campus now. We've left the church some months back. We are in the campus. We don't know where we are going next.
And that was my next question, because the first initial reactions from these institutions of learning is that we have a tough policy.
Yes.
We have a policy against zero tolerance against harassment and all of that. And so you wonder, what are the difficulties if there are this zero tolerance imbibed in these institutions? How difficult is it for the students? I'm talking about sex for grades now, because you have said there's grade for sex. How difficult is it for these students to report? What is the reporting system in these schools? In Unilag, for instance, you were students in LASU. I mean, we've all gone through the Nigerian system, but I want to know, why is it so difficult to get this
Let me
reports?
Wait. The reporting strategy that the university ought to firstly take as part of Partner in Progress is the student union. Definitely. But quite unfortunate that there is this kind of hard feelings when it comes to the student union and the management, because there's no synergy. So that firstly ought to be the first point of call for the student union. Then the student union will take it to the student affairs division. Then the student affairs division will call on the lecturer in question. But look at it here. We have other consequential effect to all this. The stigma, the orientation, the laxity and the lacunas that have been built for so many years. So we can't just come today and start fixing it.
I think you want to jump in.
So let
Yes,
me know.
I want to jump in on that. And seriously, I'm going to flow from the other angle of having student union on campus. As I speak to you right now in Lagos State, I think LASU is the only university with a student union. University of Lagos has been suspended. Yes, on the issues like this. So the students' movement as we have it today intentionally was attacked. And for things like this to always fly. Because in a campus where you have a vibrant student union, things like this would not, because you have a first point of call. Like I said, you move down to the student union building and you make this kind of complaints. Because if you do not have a student union, people would they will resort to self-help. And that's why, because without the student union, what you have is cultism. People will start looking for ways how to solve their problems themselves. Because why would I have an issue of sexual harassment and I will move down to the Dean of Student Affairs? Who is even complicit in this whole thing? It's just like reporting the devil to the devil. And that is what we have right now.
I mean, is that not libelous? You're saying the Dean of Student Affairs complicit?
No, like me, I'm just being general. I'm just being general. There are courtrooms everywhere.
I just want to bring this context in. I mean, but we have these lecturers go on sabbatical abroad, isn't it?
Yes.
Why is it that we don't hear case of lecturers harassing students abroad? Why is it that it's only here? But this
Nigerian lecturers who go on sabbatical.
Nigerian lecturers who go on sabbatical abroad. We've never heard a case of a Nigerian lecturer go on sabbatical abroad.
That's the.
But why is that here? It's not a culture that embraces.
It's not. I think it's everywhere, because I read also about a university in the UK where sexual harassment is on the high and all of that. Yes, but it's not a Nigerian lecturer. You understand? It's still part of the neocolonial mentality. You know, we believe anything foreign is to be taken care of.
Sacred.
You understand? It's sacred. You know, when we can mess up with ourselves here, but when we go immediately, everybody starts adjusting when you leave the country. You understand? The traffic light you cannot beat here that you can beat here in Nigeria anyhow. You understand? When you get there, everybody, you know, because so it's just like that. It's a social order.
Age long, we know this. What's the way forward?
One, our National Orientation Agency must come off its duty, and also there must be more stringent measures. In law, for example, as a lawyer, if you fall short of the law, there are disciplinary committee, and the most unfortunate thing or the consequence punitive measure is delisting or derobing you as a lawyer.
Yes.
Why can't you derobe all this lecturer of their professorship, of their doctorate? Why
So
can't you just reduce them to normal school start? Get them back to where they are coming from. When there is one punitive measure, that's not just you being punished, then also
So can we do that according to the law, sir?
name and shaming is also a part of it. If somebody commits this, the way we display our cultures on campus, on the billboard, display these lecturers too. They write their name, their department, the offense, date, and all that, the hour and place of commitment. So these are social. But on the legal point of view, then a petition must go to the police. Where there is no complaint, the police cannot take off a matter. I would advise the student movement, even students that have these kind of cases, report. In the Lagos State Police Command today, we have the sexual violence department here, unit, even in every almost area commands and even division. So there must be proper...
Taking it to him now. Is that not supposed to be the case? You know, when something like this happens, you get the police involved rather than allowing the school set up a
panel. Yes, that's correct. I think on the social party, he has explained the legal part of it, of curtailing an issue like this. It's the first thing is this culture of silence in Nigeria. It's a social order in Nigeria, you know, and we were taught that way. Our parents taught us to always keep quiet. You know, you don't fight the authorities. You know, authorities are, you know,
like
you
we
don't
had
know
one of those videos.
you know,
I'll report it to your mom.
Yeah, and I will report it to your mom. No one fights.
Power.
No one fights the government and wins. You understand, things like that. So this culture of silence must be dealt with. That's the first thing. And again, reward and punishment. There must be a scheme for rewarding people and for punishing people. For example, why would any student take his or her academics seriously when he or she knows that the best graduating student does not have 100,000 naira in his account? Why those who were in a particular house, sleeping, drinking for 3 months, went home with 45 million or 60 million naira? So I've met students who have told me point blank that I'm just in this campus to get this paper, you know, just get this certificate and let's get out. So when you have such kind of arrangements,
one thing is certain,
you can
we'll
do anything to
definitely
get
work
it.
with you a lot. That brings us to the, like I say, big thanks to both of you. That brings us to the end of the show. I'm Rufai Hosseini.
I'm Adeyeye Marwan.
And I'm Shaita Atigari. Thank you for watching.